negotiation. I'm filming this video today. We're going to go over some basic trap anatomy. We're going to go over parts of 3 styles of foothold traps I have here. I've got long springs, coil springs, and a jump trap. We're going to go over their parts, their basic operation, how to set them, how to fire them, and just their basic mechanics. So today we're going to start with the number 1 long spring, which is what a lot of people probably started with trapping muskrats or something. So we have a base plate on the base of the trap. We have jaws on the top of the trap. Jaws are what holds the animal's paw. Jaws are connected in at the edges. Jaw tips go through the frame. We then have on number 1, we have a single long spring. This is a single long spring trap. We also have double long spring traps here. This is a single long spring trap. This is what powers the trap. At the end of that, we have a swivel. Allow that animal, when he fights trap, to rotate for animal comfort. We have a chain and a ring at the bottom. The ring is to deploy a staking device such as this T-stake through the trap ring, keep that trap and that animal where they're supposed to be, and allow that trap to swivel freely for animal comfort. We'll go over stakes in a different video, staking methods. So, to operate this trap, I want to depress this single long spring and open these trap jaws. Once I hold that down, if I don't release my hand from that, it'll stay where I want it to set. I'll flip the dog over this jaw I'm holding down, and I'll place it in the notch that's on the base of the pan. The pan is what drops the fire the trap. Okay, so I've got the pan in the center, it's got the pan notch at the base of it, and the dog, which lays over to hold that trap set. I'll then rotate this spring toward the solid jaw. I have a loose jaw and I have a solid jaw. I'll rotate that spring toward that loose jaw, and that trap sits nice and flat. Any work I want to do on this, if I want to adjust the pan or anything, I do everything under the loose jaw. If that trap fires and my thumb's under the loose jaw, I can't get pinched. So, to fire this trap, once again I'm going to come under this loose jaw and I'm going to depress the pan where the animal would step. And it's going to fire this trap. Just like that. That's a single long spring. We also have double long spring traps. This is number 1, it's a Victor brand trap. It's a very common brand. This is a number 11, which is basically a number 1 with 2 springs. This is a Sleepy Creek brand. It's got a little bit different pan on it. Instead of the pan with a notch at the base, this has a pan with a slot in the base. It's called a pit style pan. So on this trap, we've got our frame, our base plate, which our chains connected to. We have a swivel on the chain and a ring. This has a different staking system. Once again, we'll go over at a later date. This has its jaws, obviously. It's got 2 springs. The pan, the slot, or the notch, and the dog. So to set this style trap, I'm going to do a technique called breaking it. You're not actually breaking the trap. It's like you're bending it over your knee on double long springs. It's a very effective way to do it. I'm going to depress both the springs, and as you see, the trap kind of breaks down like that, and I can hold it just like that. Then allows me to easily open my jaws. I'll put my dog over the jaw that's going to be the solid jaw, hold that down. I'll get under my loose jaw once again so I don't pinch my fingers if the trap were to fire, and I'll raise that so the dog's in the slot or the notch. I'll then rotate both these springs toward the solid jaw, and my loose jaw lays nice and flat. That's a nice flat laying trap. And to fire the trap, once again, I'm under my loose jaw, right? Always work under your loose jaw. Under my loose jaw, I'm going to depress this pan, fire that trap. Move on to a little bigger double long springs. This is the Victor model number 4. Same method, I'm going to break it over my knee. It's a little easier with these bigger, stronger traps too. But I'm going to break it right here over my leg. Break it down, get my jaws open. Once again, I can hold that trap just like that open. I'll put my dog over that solid jaw, raise my pan, put the dog in the notch, and then I can rotate my springs in. I want that pan a little flatter, so I'll just adjust that down slightly, working under my loose jaw. And we have a nice set trap. Same thing to fire this trap. I'm going to get under my loose jaw once again. Under my loose jaw, I can't get pinched. Fire that trap. This trap's got the same swivel on the end of the spring here. It's got a chain, a swivel on the end. This also has a cable stake on it. Now we're going to move on to coil spring traps. Coil springs are probably the most common type out there at this time. So this is a number 1 Victor coil spring. This has, once again, our base plate, our chain, and our swivel come out of the corner of the base plate, our chain and our ring. We have our jaws. Instead of long springs on this one, it's got coil springs. The coil springs are attached across the frame and up the side here of what's called levers. And these levers fit up the sides of the jaw. They're what holds the jaws closed and what applies the tension of the springs onto the jaws to keep them closed. So when I depress these levers, it loads tension on the springs and allows me to open the jaws. So I'm going to depress those levers. I'm going to open these jaws. I'm going to put my dog over my solid jaw, raise my pan until my dog is in the notch on the pan. Then I'm going to adjust this down so it's nice and flat. And I've got a nicely set trap. All this tension's loaded in the springs, applied to the levers, keeping the jaws open. Once this trap is fired, it applies that tension to the levers, fires them up, keeps the trap jaws closed. So, once again, same technique to fire this trap. We're going to get under this loose jaw so we can't get pinched, right? And we're going to depress this pan and fire this trap. That's a number 1 Victor long spring. So we'll move on now. Probably one of the most common traps you're going to find on the market is a Duke number 1.5. This Duke, mine have a little more powered up springs on them. They're a little stiffer, but with the standard model, I mean, I can't even begin to imagine how many animals have been caught on those. Very good trap, very common trap. Good for muskrat, mink, coon, you know, possum, skunk, fox, otter, you name it, it's been caught in it. So we have the same basic anatomy here on these. We have a base plate. This has a center swivel welded base plate on it. It's got swivel at the trap, a chain, swivel at the end, got a cable stake on it. It's got our coil springs that are attached into our frame. It's got our levers, which the back of the spring runs up. That holds the jaws closed. We have our pan, and we have our pan notch that our dog fits into to keep that trap set. So, set this trap. I'm going to put it right on my thigh here. I'm going to depress these levers. I'm going to open these jaws. I'm going to place the dog in the notch. I'll come back in here, working under my loose jaw. And I'm going to just very slightly depress that pan to make it nice and flat. And I've got a nicely flat set Duke 1.5. Now, to fire this trap, I'm going to get once again under my loose jaw so I can't get pinched here, and I'm going to depress this pan. Fire that trap. Very good trap, very common trap. A lot of them out there. Next style is once again another kind of 1.5. It's got a little bit of differences to it. This is a no BS. It's a very good trap. Build a little heavier. We got our base plate. Our springs got nice staunch springs on it. We have our levers where springs attach into, and we've got jaws. These are a double jaw. So if you look, you'll see there's a punch out on the jaws, making them wider. That for animal comfort and to dissuade the animal from any kind of chewing. It holds very well. So this also has a pit style pan such as the number 11 did. It doesn't have a notch as much as a slot that it goes into. Very nice adjustable pan. I'm going to put this over my knee like this. I'm going to depress these levers. I'm going to put that dog in that slot, and I'm going to raise the pan. I can adjust that pan down a little bit if needed. Make that a nice flat trap. Isn't that pretty? This has swivels that come out of the base plate. It's got a center swivel and it's got a swivel at the end of the chain. A lot of swivels and a nice thick chain. So fire this trap. I'm going to get up under here. I'm going to depress this pan. Once again, working under my loose jaw. Fire that trap. And last but certainly not least, we have a jump style trap. This is old school style trap. No school like the old school, right? I don't know that jumps are even made anymore, but there are a lot of them on the used market. They range in sizes from 0 all the way up to number 4 and probably possibly larger. I used to use these for beaver when I was a kid. They're a good trap, you know, not this size, a number 3 and 4 jump for a beaver when I was a kid. But this is a number 1 great muskrat trap. A lot of guys use it. Consists of a spring steel base plate as well as a single spring that attaches into the base plate in one corner. We have our jaws. We have a swivel coming out of the corner attached to a chain with a ring at the end. Set this style trap, very similar to the others, not quite the same. I want to depress this single spring down. I'll open these jaws and hold that open such as that. Then I'm going to flip my dog over that jaw to make that the solid jaw. I'm going to raise my pan up. I can get under this loose jaw and adjust my pan flat and nicely set trap here. Nice jump trap. Now to fire this, I'm going to get once again into our loose jaw. I'm going to depress the pan. Trap fires. Just like that. So, hopefully today we gave you guys a nice overview on basic trap operation, basic trap parts, just a little bit of an anatomy lesson, what things are and how they work. So once again, this video is for the Iowa Trappers Association. We're going to be putting out a lot of new content on our new YouTube page. We're going to try to have something for the beginning trappers as well as something for the more intermediate trappers, you know. But we're going to try to get some people started off right, or even give some guys, you know, some old dogs a new trick. So if you're not an ITA member, go join up today. You can go to www.iowatrappers.com. Join up. It's simple. It's cheap. We have a convention every year. The convention is free to attend, and it is a wealth of knowledge. If you're not a member, go join up. If you are a member, thanks for supporting us, and go get in the fight, guys.